Welcome back, everybody, to Roots to Grooves.
What up? I'm Jesse,
I'm Jay.
and this is Roots to Grooves, like he said.
Yeah,
Jay, thank you for being the founder of Signl Radio and for producing this whole show.
thank you for being the co-founder of Roots to Grooves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been real.
It's been real. It's
been fun.
We're many episodes deep now, but we're enjoying it. I hope the listeners are and the viewers are as well at the same time.
Totally.
And if you're not, email us.
Email us and let us know what we could do better.
Yeah, at Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com. SIGNL radio.com.
Boom, you got it. No excuses.
No excuses.
We're talking about Alexandra Savior.
Yes.
Have you ever heard the name?
No, I had not heard of her at all until you messaged me.
It was
her
my
name.
pick for the week.
That's happened a few times in a row now, where you've sent me an artist and I haven't heard of them, and
I try to switch it up.
It's good because it expands my musical knowledge and
That's what I'm here for. What Roots to Grooves is here for everybody else as well.
Yeah, and I haven't not liked an artist that you've brought to me yet. So
Likewise.
yeah,
We like some good music, Jay.
yeah, it's good. Yeah,
I like to think at least.
yeah.
So she's a super cool young vocalist, songwriter.
Yeah.
Quickly identify it as some sort of indie rock.
Yeah.
Folky, Americana.
Yeah, I would say so. A little bit lo-fi.
Yeah, kind of bedroom.
Dreamy, wavy,
Yeah.
sultry, I said.
Yeah.
I wrote down sultry for some reason.
No, that's good. I reminded me of some of her stuff reminds me of Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit, but more of like a bedroom. You
Yeah.
know what I mean by bedroom? That's a way to describe music kind of now.
What do you mean by bedroom when you say that?
It's hard. I don't know. I know what I mean in my head, but what it means in reality is I'm not sure how people perceive that.
You mean like bedroom produced or like listening to music in your
Well,
bedroom?
describing something like bedroom is describing something that sounds like it was kind of made in a
the
bedroom.
Oh, in a bedroom.
For the bedroom. No, I mean that too. But I hope people know what I mean when I say that, because it's not a diss or anything.
So it doesn't sound like big produced.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound like, oh, this was made in a huge, with
yeah.
the huge orchestra and many people working on it. It just kind of gives that vibe that it's
Yeah.
a little more DIY solo artist doing it themselves kind of thing. And I think you could hear that in different genres even, and with tons of different artists.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I'm totally wrong to use that word as a descriptor.
No, I think that works. When I think of bedroom things, I think of more of like producers, like on laptops and stuff like that sort of bedroom lo-fi thing. But I get what you're saying with Alexandra, because it's not a big spectacle production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it sounds really good. Like she only has 2 albums out, right?
Yep.
And let's just say 2017 was her first one, Belladonna of Sadness, and then her most recent one from 2020 called The Archer.
Totally. So she's very much up and coming. Like you just said, she has these 2 albums out. She's like 21 or 22 years old.
She's 25 now.
She's 25 now.
Yeah. I think she was 21 when her first album came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and then going back, I think she was even into music when she was like 14, or she might have written her first song.
Yeah, so she's from, her real name, Alexandra Savior is her middle name, and her last name's McDermott.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't look that up.
And so she's from Portland, Oregon, which is not too far from here.
Mm-hmm. Which somewhere I also thought said that she was born in Vancouver, Washington.
She may have been, but I think she grew up mostly in Portland.
Okay,
but,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and like you said, I think her brother was into music a lot as well. He apparently, when she was younger, moved to LA himself to pursue a career in music.
Okay.
I don't know where he's at now, what he's doing. I didn't really look into
He didn't come up in my research.
But because it was a little bit confusing, because she got a ukulele was her first instrument, and she even couldn't remember whether her dad got it for her or her brother got it for her. She couldn't remember, so
I guess she didn't care too much.
But she said she loved it when she got it, and she said she would never play ukulele now, but when she was 14, it was great. And yeah, she wrote a first song on that called Lazy Daisy Crazy.
Very nice. You didn't hear that, did you? Is that recorded anywhere?
I don't think it's recorded anywhere. I don't know. But
like that's some early underground Alexandra Savior stuff.
Yeah, early underground shit.
Not even released.
Maybe it's on a 4-track. I think she was outside of the generation that had 4-tracks.
Yeah, this is probably the first artist that we've covered that didn't start on a 4-track. Recording device.
She started with just guitars and singing and songwriting. I think it sounds like. Yes. Or her voice, really. I think it's her voice is really what captured people. It seems like.
Yeah, that's what captured me. I discovered her when I don't know where it came from, but I discovered Belladonna of Sadness. I'm not sure where I first heard it, but that definitely captivated me. Her vocals are super cool, super chill, super soft. I really like her lyrics. She seems to use really cool words to paint a really cool picture.
Yeah, I was thinking about this as I was researching and prepping for the show, and I realized I might have said this on another episode kind of thing, but I'm probably like one of the rarest music listeners because I don't really listen to lyrics.
Okay.
When I'm listening to music, I'm more listening to the instrumentation and everything. I think that's probably comes from me being a drummer and wanting to be a producer and just kind of listening to the sonic landscape versus one of these people that's into lyrics. But I thought about this because she seems like someone who is very good lyrically and is writing about very specific, poignant things that touch people. And I wish I would just go back and spend a little bit more time listening to what she's singing about. I don't know if you have or you have some comments on that, but like, yeah, that was just kind of my I was like, she seems like someone that has something to say and like.
Yeah. So I mean, I think she's a little bit of a shy and introspective type person. So I think she thinks a lot about the lyrics, and that matters to her at least. It doesn't necessarily matter to the listener always, because a lot of times I'll listen to lyrics, but I won't be perceiving what the phrase meant or said, but still just the way the words are sung and with the inflection and the melody that's going along with them, that can kind of tell a story on its own. Yeah. Besides actually, figuring out what the words and the definitions are and how that sentence makes a story. Yeah. But that's especially when I'm first listening to it, because it's hard you're listening to it in a car or something. It's hard to hear and concentrate on specifically everything that's going on as far as the production and the lyrics and melody. So I tend to, when I'm hearing a new artist especially, I'll just kind of focus on just the words. So what is the vocabulary they're using and what are the inflections and the melody and how is that telling me a story? And a lot of time I can get most of my enjoyment out of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? In conjunction with the music. Yeah. And then I'll usually, if I like an artist, if I like their music, I'll go back later and listen to it with my phone and like look up the lyrics and read along as I'm listening. Okay. And then that's a whole kind of new, deeper experience on top of that first initial listen, where I can kind of actually see what she's talking about and kind of decipher the poems and stuff like that. Not just this artist, but any artist for me personally. Yeah. And that's a super fun way to do it, because there's different levels. Just listen to it off the cuff. How does it make you feel? What do you think about when you're listening to this? And then you can kind of go deeper and kind of study the music. And that's kind of how I tend to do it with just in my personal life as far as music goes. So, like a little bit of an aside, talked about. I don't know why I'm talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers right now. Bring them up, love it. But we were both inspired by them, I think. Yeah. But I remember having a conversation with a guitarist that was in my band years ago, and he was like, "Those lyrics, like, do you know what Anthony Kiedis is singing about? Because a lot of his lyrics seem very cryptic and hard to understand." Like, no, I think he's mostly saying gibberish. Well, he literally, for the most part, I think there was literally a verse in some song like where it's just like, bang, 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 bang. Oh yeah, like literally just sounds. Yeah, he was just like, fuck it, I'm not writing lyrics for this. Bang, ding, ding, bang. This is a TikTok video. Yeah, this is gonna make perfect. Creating content within content. There you go. No, I think Anthony Kiedis starts a lot of songs like that, and many artists do, kind of just saying syllables, whatever's popping in your head, as you're kind of trying to think and put lyrics and a melody over some music.
Well, actually, yeah, that reminds me of what I heard Alexandra say about this. Like, well, first of all, she said writing lyrics is one of her favorite things about the music creation process, because she thinks it's challenging and it's like putting together a puzzle.
Right. I agree.
And the other part of it as well is like how she creates a song. She actually starts with like guitar chords first, and then she starts kind of humming a melody around it, and to get a sense melodically of where the vocals are going to fit. And then I think she sort of starts writing what she's going to say over that.
Kind of has that path of where the melody's going and what's being sung, and then kind of add the lyrics on top of that, and words that fit with vocabulary that fits and creates a story that way. Super cool.
So
I think she does a great job of that. I don't know, I don't want to interrupt your story.
No, go ahead, because I was gonna I want to talk about the first album, but there's a little bit of initial story as well.
No, this is my favorite album of hers. One out of only 2 albums. But go for it. Start us off. How far back are we going?
Okay, well, so before we dive into her first album, she got her ukulele at 14, right? And started kind of writing songs around then. I think she did a lot of like musical stuff at school as well. Like she was in some plays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think she did some musicals, some theater.
And was sort of doing that. I guess she discovered she had a voice early on and was kind of into that and using it in that way, and like musicals. And
then she was also an artist too. Like she paints a lot. I think.
She does that, and she makes some of her own music videos as well. Like she gets into a bit of the video editing side of things.
Yeah, so that's one of our favorite things is when people are doing it DIY.
Yeah,
and so she's totally encompasses that, and
so like, well, let's a little bit of her inspirations as well. Apparently when she was growing up, there was a lot of Pink Floyd and Muddy Waters and Beatles being played in her household. And then she also cites Otis Redding, Etta James, Jack White, and Amy Winehouse and Adele as some of her own personal influences.
Nice.
As well as the films of Terry Gilliam from a visual approach, because like we said, she makes some videos, and some Terry Gilliam films?
No, not at all.
Not at all? He was the additional member of Monty Python. You know Monty Python?
Yeah, totally.
Did you ever watch any Monty Python episodes?
Not really, just
do you know vaguely about the animated sequences between some of the sketches?
No, I'm not that familiar.
So with Terry Gilliam, he was the only American that was part of Monty Python, and he made all of the animated sequences that happened in between shows, skits on that show. He's also gone on and done a lot of great movies, which I'm blanking on all the names on. 12 Monkeys.
Didn't see it.
Bruce Willis. Oh, you got to see that.
With Bruce Willis.
Movie night. We keep talking about on movie nights the need to have so many movies.
Let's write this down and we'll have a movie. I'll bring the popcorn.
Yeah. He's done a lot of good movies. So, but always weird. He's like very
kind of odd guy.
Yeah, very odd. Like he took a shit ton of LSD, and that's kind of
got creative.
What about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
I have seen that with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that's a Terry Gilliam film.
Oh, is that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Film's weird, right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
Visually very interesting stuff. Like
I'll have to watch some more of his stuff.
Yeah.
More. Yeah. I got to take a weekend off and just watch some media, consume some content.
Exactly. Yeah. Just fire up your Netflix.
My Netflix device.
I think you have to pull the cord. Like on a
lawnmower.
Yeah, like a lawnmower, or like I was thinking more of like a boat.
Oh, okay. Same.
Yeah. I think that's how you have to activate Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe that's how I don't have to pay the bill every month.
Yeah, because that generates energy that Netflix uses.
It's some kind of physical.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of know what we're talking about, and I kind of don't.
I'm trying to go Terry Gilliam on everyone.
Yeah, we're good. It's getting trippy. Twilight Zone. One of the other influences that I saw come up was Adrian Young.
Yes, I saw that as well, which is cool because we did an episode on Adrian Young,
and he's obviously a super cool guy. And she was quoting Alexandra Savior was saying how
dream collaboration.
Yeah. Totally. Maybe we read the same article or something, but obviously we talked about this in another episode. Hopefully everybody listened to that because Adrian Young is super cool and has a studio downtown LA with no computers. Yeah. Completely analog studio and makes a lot of stuff that's late 60s, early 70s style stuff, and he records it the same way as they did, using the same equipment and everything, the same styles of production. Yeah. So super cool guy to be inspired by, and he has some great music out there.
Yeah, and I think it was one of something about April. I'm not sure if that. I can't remember if that was his first release or something, but that was the one she mentioned as being.
I saw that as well. I think it was the first, and then I think he later re-released it.
Yeah.
Or something. That's a reoccurring thing we've been talking about, how artists will find it's re-released in a different order than it says somewhere online, as on Spotify. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. But I think that was his first one. So Adrian Young is dope. Yeah. I mean, she has a musical and artistic background for sure. Yeah. From being very young.
And the first thing she did, like, really, and this is very strange, because it was like a YouTube video of a cover song called Big Jet Plane. Did you come across that?
I didn't see that.
So that was like the first sort of thing that she put out when she was a teenager. Someone's re-uploaded the video to YouTube. It's just basically her and a friend playing guitar, and they're singing the song Big Jet Plane, which was originally done by a brother and sister duo called Angus and Julia Stone.
I think I recognize that song.
Yeah, it's a really good song. Like, they're a good group as well, actually. That's the one. Yeah.
Okay, I think I got it.
So here's the weird thing: she did a cover of this with her friend, just like in their house, kind of thing. And it's really shitty audio. It's like it's literally done on like a webcam or a phone sort of thing. But her voice is really good in it, and you know. And here's the weird thing that happened is apparently it went around the internet and Courtney Love watched it and saw it.
I did read something about Courtney Love and they got in contact somehow.
Yeah, and she started sending essay-long emails to her, which she thought was completely surreal. And even they talked on the phone. And then Alexandra said it was funny because she had in her house they had like a tomato telephone, like one of those gimmicky telephones in the shape of a tomato.
I've never seen one of those, but I'm a tomato guy.
Tomato, and
that's cool. Sounds fun.
Yeah, so she said she'd be cross-legged on the floor of her living room on a tomato phone talking to Courtney Love.
What a bizarre way to enter the music industry.
Just off of a cover song she put on YouTube, yeah.
This is before her first album came out.
Yeah, before any of that stuff happened. So I think kind of like, the reason I'm talking about this is because she's had a few issues with the industry in general, sort of thing.
Right.
And I think this kind of what led her towards getting some record deals and some notice. You know, it was that song, the cover of the YouTube video, the conversations with Courtney Love. She went to a label where she like played kind of 3 of her songs to this label. And then she said they sat me down on a stool and they asked me, do you want to be like Katy Perry or Pink, kind of thing? And
Pick one.
Yeah, and she was like, alarm bells, I think, rang in her head.
Red flag.
When she was like, I don't want to be a pop star like these people. Like, I want to make music and write and do her thing.
Be a songwriter, not a perceived, concocted...
so I'm not
facade of an artist.
And so I'm not really clear on the next steps of what happened and stuff like that, but she eventually found herself signed to Columbia Records, a major label,
right?
And she got hooked up with Alex, what's his name, is it
Turner?
I was gonna say Taylor. Alex Turner, lead guy from Arctic Monkeys,
which is huge.
Which is huge.
So Alexandra Savior we're talking about, and she apparently has a tendency to meet famous people in the music industry fairly easily.
Is there other people she's met?
Well, I mean, just starting from the beginning of her career, already talking with Courtney Love, talking with Alex Turner, and making an album with him. And maybe jumping ahead a little bit, but the cat's out of the bag. They made this first album together, and Alex Turner produced it. And
this is why, because I want to get to talking about
the we're here, baby. We arrived.
But I think it was sort of fuzzy. In my mind, from what I've researched, it seems like she did a YouTube video that went viral. Courtney Love got hooked up with her. She did some talking with a bunch of record labels about signing her kind of thing. And she, I think, signed to some other label or something, and it didn't work out. I'm not sure what happened there, but she eventually signed with Columbia, which is a major label. And then they basically set up her and Alex Turner.
Oh, so they kind of put them together?
Yeah, so she didn't meet him. Like, it was like a label thing kind of thing. It was like, you know, this guy might be able to work with you on writing and producing your first album sort of thing.
That makes a lot more sense, because I was researching, like, how did they meet? Like, what was the initial...
Yeah, it was a label meeting. The first meeting, they met in a cafe called the Mustard Seed Cafe.
I did see that. So I think we kind of skipped over. She moved from the Pacific Northwest to LA, and she was already here during this time that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think she... see, I don't know the label situation, whether she was already signed to Columbia and they were like, come out to LA, get you set up, we'll have you meet some people, kind of thing, like about who to work with on your album, sort of thing. And she actually said, you know, she picked them out of other people that were offering deals because they were the only one that weren't trying to make a product out of her. And they weren't comparing her to big pop stars, and they weren't trying to do this whole
turn
thing.
her into Pink or Katy Perry.
Yeah. So it seems like to me, from everything I've heard about that it was sort of like the labels were interested because she was young and good looking and had a good voice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to sound like bad or whatever, but you know how the industry works about making products out of people.
Yeah, totally. Like, and when you can get them, you know, young and aspiring, there's a lot of...
and so I think she had to fight
potential
her way through that to be like, you know, I'm not going to be a Justin Bieber or some YouTube discovery. It's like I actually have songs that I've written and a thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
So let's start trying to work with someone who is going to complement that. And I think that's how that Alex Turner meeting came about, probably. I'm just guessing. But it seems about right.
It sounds like you could have a job at Capitol Records or was it Columbia?
Columbia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm super glad that it happened. I think it was I think they hit a home run. I think it's awesome. That's so. I mean, we're talking about Belladonna of Sadness, Alexandra Savior's first album. That was. She wrote some of the stuff, and then Alex Turner wrote a couple of the songs at least.
Yeah, I think
and produced.
Yeah, they definitely co-wrote, collaborate. It sounds like they're doing it for a while because there's songs that didn't make the album that they wrote together. I think there was like one song that didn't make it that Alex Turner ended up doing with a different band that he has.
I saw that. I didn't write down the name of the song though.
And there was also a song they did for the HBO show True Detective.
So that was her first single off of this album, Belladonna of Sadness, right? And so it got a placement on True Detective, which is you know awesome. I think she was saying, an interviewer was asking her whether she had a lot of power over where her music was getting placed and if she cared that much. And at first, I think she said she didn't care too much, but then she kind of cares more because it's. I mean, I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly what I was reading.
I think it was the opposite. I think it was like originally like these songs were her babies, she said. And she was like really aware of like where they wanted to place these things.
Yeah, put it in like a show, for example, have the right vibes that she relates to.
But I think like the more she's progressed in her career, she realizes the importance of having your music exposed to as wide an audience as possible. So I think she's less precious about where her music's placed now, sort of thing.
Right.
But like,
so from a marketing perspective, definitely better to get it in front of people rather than be too picky and not have anybody listen to your music at all.
Yeah. Which reminds me of like, that's something that Moby did. His real big album that was in the early 2000s. I think it was like Press Play or something like that. I'm not sure. It was like the song that had all of his big hits on it. Like he like licensed every track to be available for anything, like for movies, commercials. Like he just like
put it wherever you want.
Yeah, and he sort of put a thing on it where it was sort of like I don't even have to approve it. just like
pre-approved
automatic approval to anyone that was like, obviously they have to pay money, you know, and that, but he didn't care where it was, and that actually worked in his favor because that helped him go massive with that album. Because when that album came out, like, you know, he had like 5 different tracks of his on like this commercial, like, you know, this
that's
movie,
great,
this TV trailer, you know, because even they do like trailers for TV shows on TV and that, and like
right.
this music was using, you know, which I think is not a bad. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but like, I wouldn't care necessarily unless it was like being used at a Trump rally or something like that. But you know,
right, then it would get a little hairy for some artists.
Political stuff, maybe just like no political things, but everything else is
right.
Like whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're increasingly living in a music industry where it's more important to take what opportunities are available to you.
Well, I think you have to as well, because like the money is not, you know, it's very hard to come by in the music industry, like to make a living out of music.
Right.
And like really the big paydays in this day and age in the music industry come from having your music placed in movies and commercials and everything like that.
Yeah, that's huge for an artist.
And live shows. Like really those two things are like what makes a
touring,
career, a financial career.
And, you know, selling merchandise at shows.
Yeah,
right.
Everything else is, you know, I think streaming is like at the bottom of the totem pole, like in terms of where the financial income comes from an artist, kind of, for an artist. Yeah,
totally. It's weird. It's kind of backwards. People are paying more for the shirts and the jackets, or TV placements or something. That's how artists are making money, rather than I'm going to buy an album or I'm going to buy this music. All the music's for free. With your $10 Spotify premium account. But
also, Alexandra makes her own merch as well. I saw she was like making underwear or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, I think she has a sewing machine, and for a while she was making underwear and other garments or whatever. What do you call them? Textiles.
Okay.
Things that people wear, and then using her art. I think she did the artwork on the Belladonna of Sadness. Yeah. Which is like a little kind of leaf flower situation. I don't know. It's a cool little piece of art. Don't mean to say little as in belittling, but it's just kind of a small image.
Is it a painting or is it a photograph?
I think it's painting.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Looks good.
But yeah, so I mean, she's using, you know, her DIY skills, and she's doing the artwork. She's doing, you know, songwriting, and she's just well-rounded as an artist, and she's making it all happen. Doing a little of this, a little of that, to make her whole campaign well-rounded. So yeah, she's putting in the work. And then I think maybe we should play a track off of this first album. Get a little vibe for it, and then we could talk about what the album's about.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Let's play Mirage.
Cool. That's the first track on the album.
Nice.
And that's a good one. Yeah.
Violet was tickling my fancy, gives out just the right amount of soul. I wonder if it makes me sound too old. Decided that a Stella or a candy seems as if I'm spinning down a pole. Swept them over to the stack of no's. I sing songs about whatever the fuck they want, whatever the fuck they want. And I'm so blue. Anna Marie Mirage, painting my teardrops on and on and on and on. Staring through the window of a wig store, crying to the credits of a show that you've seen a bunch of times before. An inch away from settling on Coco. Shame that she's that girl you used to know. Loved her, but we had to let her go. We sing songs about whatever the fuck they want, whatever the fuck they want. And we're so blue. Anna Marie Mirage, like the front of a casino. Push me down another rabbit hole. Touch me like I'm gonna turn to gold. She's almost like a million other people that you'll never really get to know. And it feels as if she's swallowing me whole.
Check it out.
Mirage, first track from Belladonna of Sadness, her debut album.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, it's super groovy and fun. And so I think you can hear the Alex Turner production because it reminds me a little bit of, I think, the Arctic Monkeys' latest album, Hotel Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, which is a cool album. And I think he's still kind of using some of those vibes when he was, making that album and then made this album.
Did it come out at the same time, I think, or not?
Ish.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I don't even have the stat off the top of my head when Hotel and Casino came out.
That's the one thing I did think about this album. I did really like it, but I could also either fortunately or unfortunately see that you could swap out her vocals with Alex Turner's very easily, and you could definitely hear his stamp on all of the tracks, sort of thing. Like her delivery, I think sometimes as well, like in the lyrics and the vocals.
Yeah,
like,
it's Turner-esque. You could say, and so I definitely picked up on that too. Not to take anything away from her, because the reason I was, infatuated with this artist is because you can hear her vocals are very cool, very nice, and she comes up with cool melodies. And who's to say who came up with which melody at which point? Yeah. But I think she's still putting a lot of work into that and making it sound really good. Yeah. And she's doing a lot of the lyrics and stuff. Yeah. And she puts a lot of effort into making each part and each phrase that she's singing really emotional. Yeah. And really tells a story. Yeah. With the way she says the words. Yeah. And sings the song. So.
Yeah, they said like about their writing process that they're kind of very different. But I think she said that she thinks ultimately they taught a lot to each other,
right?
About writing music, kind of thing, where she feels like she's a little bit more disorganized, kind of thing, and he's has a very much like a work ethic, kind of thing.
Like, she said she'd go over to his house in LA, and he'd be like, "We're working on this song right now,
and
today."
He'd have a topic or something like that. Right. Sometimes, like for a song,
like something to focus on.
Yeah, and it'd be very sort of structured, and she would be like, "Oh, do you want to go to the coffee shop? Do you want to watch TV or something?"
Yeah, just chill. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Where I think obviously, it's just a different thing.
I mean, they're technically, literally in different generations. Alex Turner would be a millennial.
How old is he?
I think he'd be a millennial. He's probably like 30.
Yeah, he must be
2 to 35.
I remember they were getting big before I came to the US, which is like 2006.
But Arctic Monkeys have been around for a minute now.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Super good though. I need to check out some more Arctic Monkeys.
Oh yeah, I loved them when they first came out. They had that one music video of their first song, and they were like playing it live, kind of thing.
Oh, I didn't see that.
They made it so there's this old music TV show in the UK called The Old Grey Whistle Test, and that show was on TV in like the 70s mostly, and it was all like live performances, and they filmed it in a TV studio, and they didn't even do a set. It was just like a bare bones TV studio where you could see all of like the cabling and the wiring and everything like that. But they had some big artists like Jimi Hendrix did it.
Nice.
Bob Marley did it.
Nice.
And I think that's how they were inspired for the Arctic Monkeys music video. Basically, it looks like that. They even had these old cameras that made it look a bit like 70s.
Got you.
When you like turn the camera and there's like a ghosting sort of image, like
Yeah,
a blurry thing that happens.
It's catching up. It's that old school technology.
They're really good. It was like really tight and fast and like real tight song.
They're pros. They do it really well.
Yeah. His drummer, actually, I think I mentioned this before. Their drummer is one of my top drummers.
Oh, really?
And I don't have many people on that list.
What's his name?
I don't know his name. I'm not a big fanboy to like know people's names.
Yeah, but you
um,
still respect him and know what he does and what he's about.
He's excellent. He's real, just natural feel. There was also this super hybrid band that he played in with Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
And a couple of other guys. They formed this like 4-piece band, and he's playing in that. It's really
sick.
Good. Yeah.
Kind of some kind of super group or something, huh?
It is a super group. I can't remember where the other guys are from, but they were from like massive bands as well.
So this album is dope. Belladonna of Sadness, I found where she came up with the name.
Yeah.
It's from a Japanese anime film.
Yeah.
Made in 1973, or it came out in 1973.
Yeah.
I think about witchcraft.
Yeah, it seems a little bit dark as well. Like, this main character was like raped or something, and then goes on this whole
I don't know, is that dark
journey of witchcraft, and yeah.
Okay, kind of, maybe I won't watch that. That's not going to be in the movie night.
Well, apparently it's epic. I don't know what.
Does it actually look interesting?
I only saw the poster. I didn't see any clips of it.
Oh.
But it is apparently epic, and I think it has a good ending, at least. I think so.
Everything happily ever after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alexandra at least said that, she was inspired by that story of the main character kind of thing, from, going through all the trials and tribulations to being
right,
sort of, successful in a certain way or something. But
how to feel successful in an industry that's so controlling.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of relation there.
And I think she went through a bunch of different titles as well before she got to that one. But it was mostly, she was inspired by that film, but she also said she was kind of relieved because it was a good title, and she just wanted a good title for the album.
She didn't have to keep making stuff up herself. Exactly, I'm going to use this one.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I first listened to the album, and I think it fits really well, so I think it's cool.
Yeah. And also to say, the other co-producer of that album was James Ford, who did do a lot of production work on Arctic Monkey stuff.
Oh, okay.
He's also worked on Florence and the Machine, Depeche Mode, Jessie Ware.
Nice. Got an episode on her. Go check her out. Super cool.
And Gorillaz. So
he's a superstar.
Yeah, so he was, I think maybe like Alex Turner was the glue for the songwriting.
Right.
And then James Ford was the glue for the production quality of the album, sort of thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, the whole album, it's kind of dark, kind of got melancholy, some nostalgic feel. It's it's kind of sharp, but there's a lot of cool little melodies going on with synths or guitars, and it's very kind of spacey, but kind of haunted. Yeah, kind of creeping orchestration. It's not super upfront or anything, but it's tasteful. Yeah. Like I said, it still kind of all sounds kind of bedroomy, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of chill as far as production goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little strange. It's mostly kind of just poppy and straightforward. Yeah. But it's a little strange in there. And it's pretty emotional. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff off the top that I feel when I listen to that music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's my favorite album of hers, and the whole thing's pretty good all the way through.
Nice.
So
let's play one more track off this album then before we move on to.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, play Shades.
Shades. Okay.
That's probably my favorite track off this whole record.
Ooh, your favorite track.
Yes.
Okay.
When you were sleeping, hadn't correctly got my head screwed on. Tried to find a way to write a note, couldn't get your shower to work. I sorta wish that it was raining, so that I could pull the hood up on my coat. I'm always happy Sooner or later, this strange little arrangement and all its exchanges must cease. Shouldn't I come back? Shouldn't I switch it on at all? Didn't mean to hold you so close, but you know how it goes. I sorta wish that it was sunset. I kinda wish that it was New Year's Day on a vacant street. I cast a long ass shadow, like when you're looking for your shit. Rifling through your pockets, and you find them on your face. Walking around in the days. I don't wanna stop it, baby, let you stray. Ooh, I can't escape it. That normal behavior, uncontrollably vapor, and on about something dumb. Sooner or later, this strange little arrangement and all of its exchanges must seem not easy to see where it goes. The misty middle distance, swallow the curtain, the only road I know, and maybe takes us out of
Shades.
Love it. Off Belladonna of Sadness by Alexandra Savior, who we're talking about today. So, I mean, do you like that track? I think it's dope, just the way how melodic the bass is. And I think it's kind of doubled by some kind of mellotron or synth, possibly. And then, just the kind of airy, haunting, reverby guitars and just the simple, everything's pretty simple, but it all works together and has its place in the production. And I think it works really nice with her kind of soft, haunting, emotional vocals on top.
I do definitely like this mood. It reminds me of another artist that I want us to talk about on a different episode, which I'll probably mention for next week.
Okay. Excited to hear.
Anna Calvi. Have you heard her stuff before?
No, don't know the name.
She's a British singer, songwriter as well, but very specific kind of mood, which definitely fits in this realm.
Nice.
I think. Yeah. So
I like that kind of mood. Kind of dark.
Yeah.
Kind of grungy. The music's not grungy, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. She just has her nice. Alex Turner does a nice job of incorporating melody with the other instruments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when she's not doing a nice, pretty melody with the vocal, you can hear a little flourish on the synth or on the guitar.
Yeah.
Very melodic.
Yeah.
Not completely just rhythmic, but I just really like the production, and it's like that on the whole album. Very, very tasteful.
I was trying to find my note about how she described her own music, but I can't find it. But I will go from my memory to see if I can get this correct.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's see what we got.
She said her sound is basically like you're kind of in the desert, and then you get lost, and then you get opened up into this other world where there's like this desert bar, and there's no one in this bar apart from this lonely singer in the corner, female singer with red hair, crooning away in a long black dress.
That is the vibe right there.
That's a vibe. And that's how she, I think, I'm ad-libbing that's
paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing, yeah. That's kind of how she described
her
cool. Sound. Yeah,
that's
which
cool.
is very visual.
Yeah. Her music to me is, what she's able to do, and, with the production of the other members and stuff, it's visual. and it's vibey and it's moody.
Yeah.
So yeah, desert.
Yeah.
I don't know why that seems fitting though.
Yeah. But unfortunately, like, I mean, this is a great album. There's no denying that.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's a great sound, and there's nothing. It's faultless, I would say.
Yeah.
Sonically.
Yeah, totally.
But for some reason, there was all this whole craziness in the industry around it. So apparently, she finished this album in 2015, and it didn't come out until 2 years later.
Yeah, there was some rigmarole, yeah, going on, and it took a while for the.
I don't know what happened, and unfortunately, after this album came out as well, she was dropped by Columbia, the record label that financed it, put it out.
Right,
and she was also dropped by her management.
Yeah, he just quit.
Yeah, he just quit. Apparently.
Right. So very interesting because this is like. Anybody would be happy to be a part of this project.
Yeah.
And I feel
artistically, at least, yeah. Like,
is there not a market for this kind of music at all anywhere? There's no, it's not, because it's not Katy Perry sounding, so they didn't want to deal with it anymore. Because
yeah, I think it might be a major label thing because it's like, you know, they put all of this, you know, investment into it, and then it wasn't a massive hit or something because they need it to be a massive hit in this day and age for it to make any money back, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then the numbers weren't coming in.
Yeah, and so like it's a weird thing because it definitely seems to me that she's someone that, you know, she didn't want to sign to a label that was going to make her a Katy Perry or Pink.
Yeah,
she signed with Columbia and was able to achieve making this album on her terms, in her way, kind of thing. And then, yeah, I don't know the backstory kind of thing. I mean, I'm guessing if a label drops you, it's because they think the album didn't make its money back and it's not a hit, or
there's not enough of a trajectory projected.
Yeah, which is like, you know, it's very bizarre and strange. Oh, it's not bizarre. I mean, it makes sense for a big corporation to.
I'd like to be in that room when they made that decision.
Yeah.
No, what are they saying? Because I mean, it has huge names attached to the album, like Alex Turner, and Ford.
And that was one of the things, I think, when she went on a publicity tour for it, kind of thing. I saw a ton of interviews where people were asking her, it's like, well, how do you feel about, you know, his name constantly being brought up?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they were using his name to promote the album, like, more of the time, and asking her constantly about it, sort of thing. You know, it doesn't sound like she had a great time working with him and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But when it came to like the marketing side of it, he was sort of like his name was overshadowing the project or something like that. Like,
well, up until this point, she's basically a no name.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, and then he's kind of on the top of his game.
Yeah.
With Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
And not that I'm saying it should go one way or another,
mm-hmm.
but you know, if there's a lot of hype around an album and somebody says, oh, Alex Turner's on it,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to somebody who you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense for interviewees to ask about this huge name. Like, why wouldn't you want to know? But I understand, like, it's a weird situation because she's the one being interviewed and they're like, oh, so how did Alex do it?
Exactly, yeah.
And most of the interviews I come across, you know, written interviews from these different sites and stuff, they'd be asking her, like, do you think it was weird being asked about Alex Turner? Like, such a meta question about something, like about how she was affected by that, and the media asking her about Alex Turner's involvement.
Yeah.
And then they're asking questions about that. So it's still, they're still perpetuating it by asking, well, how do you feel about getting asked about Alex Turner?
Yeah.
It's a weird mixed up thing because it's such a dynamic, basically no name from Pacific Northwest and then a huge name.
Yeah.
Worldwide fame.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some kind of little clash.
Yeah.
People are going to be interested in that huge of a name.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just must have been a little confusing for her. And like you said, I think it was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And maybe a little hard to sort out in her head. You know, I can't imagine. She's pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, she was really young when that came out. Early 20s. Like,
I mean, she got signed when she was 18, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean,
yeah. So, like, but I'm amazed at what they achieved because the albums are amazing. Like, you know, I don't know why it didn't work out, the label and the management and all that, but like artistically, I would say this is an achievement. Like,
totally.
you know, I would be proud to have made that album.
Yeah,
like
have any part on it.
Exactly,
I love it. It's great all the way around.
Yeah.
Cool people working on it. And I think they really achieved what they were trying to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, so
what are you going to do?
A little bit of her story then after that. I mean, I think she toured a little bit with that album and stuff like that. Did publicity tours and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But, but after getting dropped by the label and the management, she actually moved back to Portland from LA. Actually, I don't know if we said this, but yeah, we did say this earlier. She moved to LA.
Yes, during this whole period, she was living in LA, as was Alex Turner during the production of Belladonna of Sadness.
Yeah, and then interesting side story. I don't know if this is interesting. She was living behind a strip club. Apparently.
Oh, yeah.
It was a bit sketchy in Hollywood. And I've been to Hollywood. Have you pounded the streets around Hollywood?
I've been through, but I haven't really explored too much.
It's a horrible place. I mean,
it's dynamic, right?
You know, in your mind, you think Hollywood's great, but I'm pretty sure most of our listeners have been to LA and Hollywood. Maybe if you're in America, maybe. But for British people outside,
totally,
the country, it's like Hollywood's this thing, and then you get there and it's like the most slimiest. Hollywood Boulevard is the most sketchiest place.
It's dirty, you know, there's homeless people, but then you go down take this street and it's a beautiful, rich, big houses with palm trees down the middle, and then you take another right or something and you're back to the slums kind of.
Yeah. And I think she had a whole issue as well about being in LA because, you know, she said Portland is more of kind of a intellectual, artistic place. When people meet you, and you talk to people, you know, it's genuine. But when she was in LA, she had this whole battle with the social scene out there where it was like people weren't genuine and they're kind of fake, and people was asking what you do all the time, and I just don't think it jived with her kind of thing. It doesn't really jive with me, to be honest with you. Like I know we've toyed with the idea of going down there. The only reason
that was the plan at one point.
I know. The only reason I go down there is to create,
right?
But not to live. Like you know, once I've created, I would probably want to get out. Like
totally.
You know,
it's a little more vapid, a little more. What are you doing, and how can you benefit me somehow? How can we? How can you help me achieve what I want to do?
Yeah, which is, you know, I mean, that's the scene down there. That's where the epicenter of media. Commercial media is
content creation in general, I guess you could say.
So
and keep Portland weird. I think she quoted that, and it just got that area is a little more accepting and non-judgmental of what you're doing or who you are. Not trying to ask or expect things of you. So that might be a little more comfortable for a young girl like her. And
she said at one point as well, like she would I think she said this when she was living in LA. She was like, well, I want to buy a house in Portland at some point, kind of thing, and kind of make that
sounds good,
a home base sort of thing. But so after this album, the high of working with Alex Turner and creating this amazing album, she finds herself back in Portland and going to community college and living in her mom's house.
Right. She moved back home.
Yeah.
Felt like she had to go. I mean, what a dynamic thing to go. I'm gonna go to LA, make a sick album with Alex Turner, and then my label's gonna drop me, my manager's gonna quit, I'm gonna go back home and go to college.
That's insane. That's such
a switch up
about turn. And and she was doing that, and I think she went through a little bit of depression during that period as well.
She was mentioning that.
I think she split up with a long-term boyfriend as well during that time. And but all of this didn't stop her, and it fueled her inspiration to write her second album, which is called The Archer, which came out in 2020. So only 3 years after that, which is pretty good considering that's what was happening in her personal life.
Totally.
To be able to spin around and come out was another great album, I think.
Totally. I mean, it's a relatively quick turnaround time. We talked about the Avalanches. Their second album didn't come out for 16 years. This is 3 is nothing.
Exactly.
So props, because that's actually a pretty good.
And she said she was even writing. I think because it took so long for the first album to come out, that she was already ahead of it and she was already writing stuff. So she said most of the material for The Archer was written in 2017, 2018, which is when the first album came out and when she was touring it. So she already wrote the bulk of those songs, and then she only recorded it in 3 weeks in Brooklyn.
Right, which is very fast.
Yeah.
And so I guess before that, before she made the album, what kind of kicked it off was she knew Danger Mouse somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Yeah, but
I wasn't able to figure out how they met. But kind of like we were talking about earlier, she has an affinity for meeting people in the industry.
It might have been somehow through James Ford. He was involved in the production of Belladonna of Sadness because he did work with Gorillaz, and so did Danger Mouse.
Okay, so you can put together the connections possible.
Yeah, possible connections.
If anybody knows, let us know, because that'd be a cool little tidbit to know.
Yeah.
For everybody, we could put that up on social media or something. But so Danger Mouse offered her a deal on his record label, 30th Century Records.
Yeah.
And so they signed her.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly what the deal was for how much money or for how many albums or anything like that, but
I don't know.
At least for this one, and this is as far as she's gotten so far.
Yeah.
Which is her latest album, like you said, 2020, The Archer.
Yeah.
Super good. I think it's a little lighter in tone. It's pretty, but it's playful.
I like it a lot. Actually, when I that was the first album I listened to, and then I listened to her first album, and I felt this before I heard her talk about it. I felt that it seemed more free and more open.
Right, yeah,
honest.
totally.
And then I heard what she had to say about it, and she said that.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
I kind of heard it, and it was like...
already knew that, said Jay.
Hey, I'm not trying to big up myself, whatever. I'm just a little guy.
No, yeah, we all are.
But, no, it was just like... Yeah, she... so she produced this album with a guy called Sam Cohen. I don't know too much about him, but it sounds like she wrote every song and he produced the instrumentation, I think.
Yeah, I had it pulled up at some point, but yeah, that guy makes some sick stuff. Yeah. And he's been I don't have it up, but he's pretty prominent in the industry, worked with a lot of cool people and a lot of huge artists.
Yeah. And this album is like, for me, it's like, if you compare it to the first album, I wouldn't say the first album is commercial, but it feels, I think maybe it's just Alex Turner's stamp on it. I think is the difference between that one and this one. Mm-hmm. This one is like her vibe without his stamp on it, which actually tells you a lot about her style and approach as well. That it was very, like, her first album sounds very 50-50 then, because this album it sounds the same just without Alex Turner's input, sort of thing.
And it was all her, as far as I know. As far as the songwriting, and I'm not exactly sure who else helped her produce the parts as far as the guitar and the bass and the drums,
but she definitely wrote all the songs.
She had much more full creative control about the songwriting. And the lyrics and stuff. She didn't really have any help like Alex Turner doing lyrics and melodies with her, but you can still feel that same style. So she definitely brought it, and you can tell after the fact that she was very involved in the first album, obviously, and then she's carrying over the energy to the next one in a little bit of a different way, like you said, more free. So she's a compelling narrator. When she's speaking with her singing voice, if you know what I mean. And on this album, I think she presents the songs really well. They're a little bit less conventionally structured. I guess those are my little notes about how I feel about that album, but it's very good. And she still brings those great vocals. And like, I like the melodies she comes up with. And it was cool to know that she didn't work with like Alex Turner on some of this stuff, and she's still coming up with these cool melodies. So I'm fumbling over my words here.
No.
But really intricate kind of melodies sometimes, even though they come off in a simple way. But she's kind of going up and down and really cool melodies, for me at least.
I guess like so a couple of things to say about this album that she said. One about because I said the turnaround time seemed pretty quick kind of thing. Actually, about that, she said she was pretty determined to make sure it came out because she didn't want to fall into the shadow of the music industry. And she said she was hustling. She said, I think whether or not I am a public artist, I'll write songs just for personal experience and to exercise my creativity.
Yeah.
You know, so she was like doing that. And then, you know, also she said I was intentionally trying to impress the label that I wasn't really suited for. I think she was saying about her first album. And then when she had the freedom, it felt like she'd write the songs and they would just go into the abyss because there was nobody for me to send them to and nobody was listening at all. And she says that's probably what made them more personal sounding because she wasn't trying to impress anyone with this second album. She was just writing for her own personal reasons and
for
just
her
had
own
all
sake.
that freedom kind of thing.
Yeah, which is great, and I think she nailed it and made a really good album.
Yeah. And she said she also like, you know, found some good 60s sounds, experimenting with Sam Cohen, the producer kind of thing. But
right. Yeah, do you want to play a track off this guy?
Yeah, I think actually we opened up the show with
that's right.
Send Her Back. I just loved that. It was like a bit slamming and funky kind of thing, which I'm always down for. I'm going to play this track now, Saving Grace.
Cool. Yeah, I think that was one of her singles.
Yeah, cool.
Saving grace.
Saving Grace.
Love it. You hear those vocals?
Yeah, yeah. Nice.
She just really does it for me. She can tell a story with her vocal parts, even though I couldn't tell exactly what she's singing as far as lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but she conveys that emotion so well for me.
Yeah.
And I just think she kills it.
Definitely, yeah. It's like, I can see what you say about Lana Del Rey, but her voice is, I think, better than Lana Del Rey.
No, yeah, I think it's like what Lana Del Rey
aspires
kind of wanted to be, maybe. But Lana Del Rey's a little more heavy-handed, a little more sultry. And you mentioned Alexandra's vocals as being a little sultry as one descriptor. But yeah, I just think hers are a little bit better, a little smoother than Lana's. I would say, not to compare. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, that is the saying.
No, I just made that up, Jay. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. Not to compare, but they're I prefer Alexandra's.
Well, because if you do listen to her stuff, you are sort of thinking about comparisons, about how she sounds similar to. Yeah. Right now, I think Lana Del Rey is probably a comparison feeling. Comparison.
That's a new word. I'm gonna write that one down.
I don't know.
What were you trying to say? I'm not sure.
I was going to say comparison, but then I just could say consparison, and it sounded like conspiracy. Conspiracy theory?
Conspiracy.
I don't know.
Hey, all words are made up, Jay. All words are made up.
At some point, yeah, someone decided.
Right?
All words.
Everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, but I will say, Anna Calvi, which I'll spin some stuff next week, and we'll talk about that.
I'm excited.
I think you'll like it. But yes, I mean, what else was I going to say about that? That was about it. Like the 60s vibe kind of thing. Oh, yeah. I think one of her inspirations that she did mention was a 60s Italian singer called Mina Mazzini.
Okay.
Which I listened to some of her stuff, and it's very, I was trying to find a track to maybe play today, but I'm not sure it was quite fitting.
That would have been cool. That's okay.
I mean, I can spin a little bit. She mentioned her because someone actually asked her, like, if you're gonna do karaoke. Everyone has their karaoke song or karaoke artist.
Alexandra?
Yeah, an interviewer, a radio interviewer, asked her, "What would you do?"
And this is what she said, this Mazzini lady?
Yeah, and she mentioned her, which is funny because all her songs are in Italian language. But I think it was like, she's from the 60s, and she had this whole, I think there was a whole story about how she was an actress and a singer, and then she had an affair with a famous actor, and then she was kind of cancelled in Italian mainstream media because it was all scandalous back then, kind of thing, and then she ended up coming back with this whole like singing career where she just embraced the scandalousness.
That's what you got to do.
And it was like, well,
double down.
If you see me that way, then that's how I'm going to be, kind of thing. And she, just went for it. And
to connect all these dots here, I think, doesn't Alex Turner have an album, or Arctic Monkeys album, that's called "I Am Whatever You Say I Am"?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
or ish, close.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. Sure.
Which also, I didn't want to talk about the Ariel Pink thing, but we did do.
He's canceled.
An episode, yeah.
Don't talk about him. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's messed up because I accidentally watched because it just came up. It was recommended to me because I was previously looking at Ariel Pink things.
Right.
But there was a Tucker Carlson interview with Ariel Pink. Tucker Carlson being the crazy Fox News guy or whatever.
I was on a road trip with my sister, and she mentioned that.
Yeah,
I was blown away.
I watched it, and it was all the comments on the YouTube channel was like, "This is the weirdest thing on YouTube."
That's I got to go watch that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it sucks because he lost his record deal and everything just because he went to a Trump rally. And he wasn't there at the insurrection. He wasn't part of that. But he was like there, the one that the day before, or whatever, the thing before. And I don't hate people. Like, I don't have anything to like. I mean, a lot of us don't like Trump, whatever, but like, you know, I'm not going to cancel someone that has an opposing political view than mine.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that's kind of what happened to him. He went through that, Ariel Pink went through this whole thing. And I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I think it was related to something you said a moment ago.
No, I don't know. For whatever reason.
We're talking about the Italian singer Mina, who was cancelled.
Oh, she was cancelled,
back in the 60s in Italy, kind of thing. And you mentioned the Arctic Monkeys. You out.
Oh.
What was it?
I am whatever you say I am.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Just made me think about that as like, you know, Ariel Pink went through this whole thing of like just being blasted in the media for his political beliefs. And it's very kind of unfair and messed up.
Just kind of unsavory. It's not fun. I don't think he deserves that.
No.
You know, we live in America. It's supposed to have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
supposedly.
I think it's not good to persecute someone for their beliefs, you know. Now if their beliefs are extreme and involve harming people, that's one thing, but you know, but if your beliefs are just literally a different point of view than yours, kind of thing.
And
you know.
To be fair, Ariel Pink did have some other accusations from his girlfriend about domestic stuff.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, we don't know the facts about that.
I don't want to speak to that either.
So not taking any sides on that or whatever, or what went down there.
But like, if he was canceled just for going to a rally for anybody that you support who's not a downright terrorist or something.
Yeah.
I don't think people deserve to be canceled.
Yeah, if that's all it was,
music career,
that's what the Tucker Carlson interview was about. Was all about him being cancelled musically for his political beliefs, and and he even said in the interview he can't even afford his lawyer now. He can't so I don't know. It's just something to think about, people. Like
that's food for thought.
Food for thought. You know. Let's play a
little. So that's Alexandra Savior, everyone.
Well, hey,
have a good night.
Let's a little bit of this in the background. This is that singer.
This is Mazzini?
Yeah, Mazzini.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Lo stupore della notte spalancata.
So apparently, Alexandra listens to a lot of Mina on her Spotify.
I'm gonna go cue some of that up. It sounds pretty nice. Yeah. It sounds like a nice Sunday morning coffee listen.
Yeah, for sure.
Or throw some headphones on and take a walk through the park.
Nice.
Yeah, it feels a little more uplifting than Alexandra.
Yeah.
A little more positive.
Yeah. Even though I don't know what she's saying. She's singing it.
Yeah, no clue. No clue.
This track is called Se Telefonado from her album Studio 166.
They came out in 66?
I think so, yeah. But yeah.
That's great.
It's a vibe, it's that 60s vibe kind of thing.
Like, and you can hear in that last track we played by Alexandra Savior.
Yeah.
Kind of hitting some of those audio visceral
sonic palettes.
Yeah, totally. That energy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, that's all I got on Alexandra Savior.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
That's about right. I just hope she carries on, navigates her way through the industry to come out on the other side and make another album and continue making albums, because she's definitely talented. She's got that vibe. It's got that voice.
Yeah, she's got it all. She's got the work ethic. She's got the vocals, the willingness to put a lot of effort into lyrics and working with different people to create what she has in her head.
Yeah.
I low-key hope she works with Alex Turner again. I specifically like that album Belladonna Of Sadness as a standalone in my whole music world.
Nice.
Her second album is pretty good. I'm not as familiar with it. I'm still getting more familiar with it, and it's good. I'm just saying I got definitely feelings for that Belladonna Sadness album.
Well,
I think that one's dope. Just bust on shades in your car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, though, I'm going to close out with a track from her second album.
No, sounds good. Where do
so
you...
you can get more familiar with it.
Perfect. Cool.
This track called Howl.
I think that was another one of her singles.
Yeah.
And we'll leave everybody with that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been Roots to Grooves. I'm Jesse Quigley.
Jay Purcell. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace out, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
It's a little dangerous when you come treading by me. Hide and seek delirium. Where do you think you'll find me? Hold a little tighter, boy, 'cause and falling from behind, walk a little line, boy, 'cause I can't get you off my mind. It's a little peculiar, cold sweat soft dripping down my bed, transatlantic barrier, trust falling right into my head. Hold a little tighter, boy, 'cause I am falling from behind, walk a little line, boy, 'cause I can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind. Handsome dictator of my crimes, I can tell if they yours, I can tell if they're mine. Sweet revelation, it's in mine. I intrigue you, but mostly I'm feeling your time. Hold a little tighter, boy, 'cause and falling from behind, walk a little line, boy, 'cause can't get you off my mind.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signal Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.